What's up, everybody? This is Alex Christoforou with the Duran, and I'm here with Alexander Mercouris, editor-in-chief of the Duran. And today we're going to be taking a look at Trump's communication with Libya. All right, Alexander, it looks like we did a video on this actually about a week ago. And we noted that the United States is still not taken a side in this civil war between Haftar and the government, the UN recognized government in Tripoli. But now it looks like the U.S. seems to have taken a side. And it goes a little bit against what Mike Pompeo said, where he kind of warned Haftar to cease his assault on Tripoli. But now it looks like Trump has spoken to Khalifa Haftar. And it seems that now he's okay with Haftar's assault on Tripoli. What do you make of this news?
I think this is very interesting, and it begs many, many questions. But what Donald Trump did was that he telephoned Marshall Haftar to give the man the title he has assumed for himself, and basically thanked him for securing Libya's oil, which is, of course, a sensitive issue for Donald Trump. He's always agitating for a low price of oil. And basically, by telephoning him, and let's remember, the man who is on the telephone is the President of the United States. By telephoning Haftar directly and speaking to him, he is, in effect, recognizing Haftar as Libya's future leader. So it gives the impression now that Haftar has the backing of the United States and is trusted by the United States to secure Libya's oil and to return oil to the international oil market in order to stabilize that market where oil prices have been rising too fast to make people like Donald Trump feel comfortable. So I think this is an important development, but the interesting thing about it is that this telephone conversation between the two men has been kept secret for about a week. And that also begs many questions.
Why do you think they kept it secret for a week? Do you think they wanted to see how the fighting was playing out before they decided to pick a side?
I think that's exactly right. I mean, first of all, just to dispel the theory, which I'm sure some people are going to float, I don't think there's any disagreement within the US government about this policy. I think we can now see definitely that US policy is to support Marshall Haftar. I think they kept it secret because I think they were not completely sure of how likely Haftar was to win his battle with the various militias in Tripoli, which support what is still the internationally recognized government of Libya, which is in Tripoli. I should stress that internationally recognized government is in fact a sham. It was put together by the outside powers, and they basically agreed that it represents Libya, but of course it doesn't, and it never has, and its authority has never really been at all strong. But nonetheless, it is officially recognized up to now as the country's government. So I think that the United States is waiting to see what would happen in this battle. They probably decided that now that Haftar definitely looks like he's going to win, they can release publicly this news about this telephone conversation, which shows that they are backing Haftar and have clearly been backing him all along.
So does this pretty much guarantee that Haftar will take Tripoli and essentially rule the country? I mean, is this the beginning of the end of Libya's civil war?
I think it must be, because I mean, there's been talk that his Marshall Haftar's offensive has come up against some resistance, which is always likely, by the way. But the fact is, he has the backing of the United States and Russia and France and Saudi Arabia. So all the big players are backing him.
Interesting bet, fellas.
Very interesting. But they're all backing him because, as far as they're concerned, he is the only man who seems able to bring back some stability to Libya after that stability was shattered by the Western attack on Libya, which led to the fall of Colonel Gaddafi. So, given the extent of the international support he's getting, and that support, I'm sure, is not just rhetorical. There'll be arms supplied, there'll be ammunition supplied, there'll be money, there'll be mercenaries, there'll be all sorts of things going on. I would have thought it's only a matter of time before he takes Tripoli and establishes himself as the president of Libya. It won't be a democracy, which is what people said it would be when Gaddafi was overthrown and murdered. I don't think anybody who would do brain cells to rub together would have ever thought that there would be a democracy in Libya. But at least it will be some kind of stability. And who knows, perhaps as a result, Libya might start some sort of recovery from the disaster that has been inflicted on it by the United States and the Western powers.
Yeah, Hillary Clinton's crimes 8 years ago, and by doing what she did to Gaddafi, and it's all led to, we've all come kind of full circle to now get General Haftar to once again rule over Libya.
Well, we have. And can I just say something? It's important that you mention Hillary Clinton, because, of course, as it is Hillary Clinton's legacy that brought disaster to Libya, I can understand why Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton's nemesis and enemy, wants to be seen as the person who brought order to Libya. I mean, that's always been the sort of motivations he has. So I have to say, this is proper, realistic foreign policy. Back the strong man who can bring order. It may not be the most attractive outcome, but that attractive outcome never existed, and we should not pretend that it ever did, and we should certainly not destroy whole countries and immiserate their populations by pretending that best outcome ever existed. Of course, I predict there'll be many people on our threads who will say what is, of course, true, which is, of course, they never really intended to establish democracy in Libya in the first place. It was all about overthrowing Gaddafi, stopping the gold dinar, and getting their hands on Libyan oil. All true. But as I said, it was all packaged and presented as intended to save the people of Libya from a massacre that was never threatened and to steer the country towards democracy. None of these things has happened. None of these things was ever going to happen. So this man, Marshall Haftar, may be the man who will at least put Libya back on some sort of track. We shall see.
And we've mentioned in our past videos that Haftar was in the U.S. for about 2 decades. Yeah. He was a CIA asset, so the U.S. probably feels very comfortable with him in power, or at least they know who he is. They know who they're dealing with. Yes. That's for sure. Yes. Will the U.S. be able to also work with Russia, France, Saudi Arabia, with all these countries be able to work peacefully, when it comes to the oil, when it comes to the natural resources, if Haftar, comes to power?
Well, I sincerely hope so, because the last thing we want to see in Libya is another international tug of war of the kind we've seen, for example, in Ukraine, where the US and the Russians competed for influence, and of course in Syria even more so, where they ended up not just competing for influence, but backing different sides in what became a very, very violent struggle and sending their militaries into the country. So I hope that doesn't happen in Libya. I hope that there is enough sense on both sides to ensure that it doesn't happen. On the side of the Russians, I have no doubt that there is. On the side of the US, I'm sorry to say, I don't.
And I'm sure the Europeans also would like some stability in Syria, as this hopefully, we're presupposing that this is coming towards a conclusion.
Yeah,
and hopefully it does come towards a conclusion. But this is also a good thing for Europe in that it stems a lot of the migration flow if Haftar does manage to stabilize things.
I think your caveat about this is only presupposes success is a very important one. I mean, the talk is, at the moment, the very latest talk is that Haftar's forces are overstretched and that he's finding it difficult to take Tripoli, and that this is going to take longer than he expected. And that may be a sign that, stability is not round the corner. If this project of this Haftar project fails, which it might do, I mean, I'm not in a position to assess accurately the balance of forces on the ground. I think it'd be a tragedy, a further tragedy for Libya, and it will underscore the disaster that the Western powers inflicted on the country when they overthrew the one Libyan government, which did have actual legitimacy, which was Colonel Gaddafi's. But on the assumption that it succeeds, then, as I said, we shall see what happens. And I have to say, it's not guaranteed, not just that it will succeed, but it's not guaranteed that even if it does succeed, that stability will be restored for very long, because General Haftar is supposed to be not a well man, and he's 75. But if stability is restored, the Europeans will be very happy, because from their point of view, it will mean not just an uninterrupted flow of Libyan oil, but it should mean that this country, which has now become a major exit point for migrants and refugees pouring into Europe, is that exit point is finally blocked by a strong government able to police it.
And Libya was also played a central role in Syria as well, in that Hillary Clinton and the Obama administration created the rat line where weapons were pushed through Libya onto Syria.
Exactly.
So in general, all the pieces once again are connected, and a stable Libya, it means a stable Middle East, a stable Syria, and a stable Europe. And Gaddafi predicted this. Don't F around with Libya, because if you do, if we collapse, it's going to be a chain reaction. And he was correct.
He was absolutely correct. He understood Libya very well. I mean, he was an eccentric individual, but also in some ways an extremely clever one. And he knew his country very well. That was the reason why he led it for so long. And that was why he was able to lead it to a position of considerable prosperity. Right. I mean, we mustn't forget this. He understood Libya. He understood his region. He understood North Africa very well. And he had a very long experience of the Middle East. And he always knew, that there was very, very, very strong jihadi Salafist sentiments among some communities in Western Libya, that there was a risk that if his government failed, Al-Qaeda and ISIS would gain a foothold there, which they did, and that there would be this big flow of jihadi fighters and weapons out of Libya. And there was a lot of jihadi fighters came from Libya to fight in Syria and in Iraq, and most of those fought against the Syrian government, which the United States wanted. A few of them also fought against the United States and its proxies. So Gaddafi prevented all of that. Let's see whether a victorious Marshall Haftar can also, and bring back stability to a region and a country that desperately need it.
Agreed. Alexander Mercouris, Editor-in-Chief of the Duran, thank you very much. Guys, if you like this video, click on the subscribe button down below. Click on that notifications bell to get notifications every time we push out a new video. Visit the Duran shop. Buy a t-shirt. Help support the Duran. In the description box down below, you will find links to our PayPal and our Patreon pages. Please donate to us. That really helps us out a lot. And you can also get a copy of this video in audio format. Follow us on iTunes and on SoundCloud as well. Go to theduran.com and see all the articles that Alexander is linking up to every day. And now you can follow us on Instagram, theduran_com. And to get notifications of all our videos and everything that's going on at the Duran, download the Blank Chat app and follow the Duran channel. Alexander Mercouris, Editor-in-Chief of the Duran, thank you once again. Until next time, take care.